Hey everybody, and welcome back to the for loop. I realize that I've been gone for a couple weeks, but don't worry, I have a great excuse. My wife and I had our first child. He's a boy and he's very healthy and it's very exciting, although he's very sleep depriving. For all of you Harry Potter fans out there, he's the Dementor of sleep. So if I haven't posted, it's been because I don't have sleep, or he's crying, or actually, I should probably get going on this tutorial because he's probably going to start crying soon. So I'm trying to catch up here on where we left off. So I'm just going to run it, and I believe where we left off was when we click any of these buttons, the action event is fired, and don't click me comes out on the console. So that's exactly where we left off, so let's continue on here. I believe the next idea that I wanted to cover is getting the console to write out the text on the buttons. And you can actually get the text on the button by using this get action command on your action event variable. And all this is saying is who's causing this event to happen. That's what the computer's asking. And so get action command is actually throwing that text to the computer. So now when we click our buttons, we should get the text that's on top of them. So 0, 3, 6, and you can see them down here. And that's exactly what we're getting. C equals divide. Perfect. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to store that into a string. So I'm going to say string button text equals, and I'm just going to store that guy. Oh, I didn't put that in there, just like that, and I'll actually get rid of him. So now we're storing, every time we push the button, we're storing it into this string variable. And what we want to do next is we want to say, are you a string or are you an integer? Because if you're an integer, we're going to do something, and if you're a string, we're going to do something different. Or if you're a character, I guess you could say. And so if you can tell, I added this import up here for stack, and we're going to use stack to how do I say that? When we click a button, we're going to say, are you an integer or are you a string? If you're an integer, we're going to store you in a stack of integers. If you're a string, we're going to store you in a stack of strings. And then when we're ready to do our calculations, we're going to pull the information back out of those stacks, and we're going to do our math. And so if you don't know what a stack is, think of it as a stack of books. You stack one on top of the other on top of the other, but then when you're ready to get the books back, you pulled one off the top, and then the next one, and then the next one. So stacking the books is what you'll call the function push, and pulling the books back off the top is called pop. And I'll get more into that as we go. So I've got these two stack variables, number stack and string stack. So as you can tell, number stack is a stack of integers, string stack is a stack of strings. So now we need to decide whether or not the button text string is a integer or can be an integer. So we're going to actually create a function, and we're going to call it private boolean, because we want to know true or false. Boolean is numeric, and it takes in a string. So it's going to say, is this string a number? So we're going to store it in a character array, and I'm going to call it Charizard because I like calling character variables Charizard. Equals str.toCharArray. All that does is it takes your string and it stores each character into a char array. And since I know that this is only going to be a char array of one character because each button only has one character on it, I'm just going to say return, actually I'm going to say character dot is digit, and this is just a character, it's a static function, and I'm going to do it on Charizard 0. There we go. So all this says is this character a digit? And the reason I can do 0 is because I know that my function will only ever have one character in the array. Okay. And then I'm just going to return that. So returning a true or false, because isDigit returns a Boolean. So we're going to say if you are numeric, not number, numeric, and we're going to say button text. If you're numeric, then we're going to stack you on the number stack. And the way we can do that is go number stack dot push. That's the function I was talking about. And then it wants an item. So we're going to parse out an integer. Dot parse int. And then it wants a string. We'll give it good old button text here. And that's that. So this is saying I want you to push this integer on there, but it's not actually an integer, it's a string, but I want you to parse it to an integer because since I did this function, I know it can be cast into an integer. So hopefully that made sense. If it doesn't, rewind it and play it again because I don't know how to explain it any better. Else, so if you're not a number, we know that you're a character. So we're going to stack you on the string stack. So string stack dot push, and then we can just actually throw button text on there because it's already a string, so we don't have to convert it into anything. And one last thing I want to do is I actually want to add an if up here. So I want to say if button text. And whenever you're comparing strings, you always have to use content equals. Because if you use equal, what I mean is like this sign, equal, it will actually sometimes convert the string into an integer and then try and compare them as integers, and it's just really disgusting. So whenever you want to store it as a string, this is the safe way to do it and the recommended way to do it. Dot content equals, and then you put your second string in the parentheses. Okay, so if it's C, what we're going to do is we're going to print the stack. And it's going to throw a fit, but that's okay. I'll fix it later. Else if it's not a C, then we check if it's numeric and push it on. And lastly, we push on the character. So let's go ahead and make that function for print stack. And it doesn't take anything. Okay. We're going to have to make it void. Void. Alright. So what we want to do is we want to loop through the whole integer stack and print them all out. And then we're going to loop through the whole character stack and print them out. And this is purely for debugging purposes because I want to show you guys how it's working. And then after that, we'll be able to sort of arrange them and pop them off as we want them and do operations on them. So bear with me, we're getting towards the end here. And let's go ahead and write this little function. So we're going to say while, and we're going to say not number stack dot is empty. So essentially that says while the number stack is not empty, because every time you pop, it removes the top one off. System.out.println number stack dot pop. And then we'll do the same for the other. While string stack dot is not empty. There we go. Okay, let's give it a shot. Make sure everything looks good here before I run it, because I'm embarrassed whenever I get errors. I know it's going to happen. It happens to everyone. Debugging is a major part of being a developer. So let's just go ahead and click 0, 3, 6, 9. Now when that prints out, it's going to print out as 9, then 6, then 3, then 0. And then I'll go ahead and click plus, minus, divide, multiply, equal. So when I click C, what it should do is it should print out 9630. Then it should print out equal, multiply, divide, minus, plus. And so as you can tell, it's going to print them out backwards. That's because whichever way you pop, it always pops the top one off first. So the first one that you stack or push, the first one you push is on the bottom, and then the first one you pop is always on the top. So I hope that makes sense there. And look at what we've got, 9630 equal time divide minus multiply. So that's exactly what we expected. So I feel like what I really wanted to cover here was stacks, and I feel like we got through that. We also got through this ae.get action command, and we covered a couple of small things like the string comparison and making your own numeric function, and this is a really simple one. So don't use it for like multiple digit numbers because it won't work. And anyway, so I feel like we covered what we wanted to here. In the next tutorial, what I'd really like to cover is getting these guys in order, and so that every time we do like 9 and then plus and then 6, I'd like it to go ahead and do that operation, and then we can do another operation, and then when we push equals, it should do the operations. I want it to function like a calculator. So I'm hoping we cover that in the next tutorial. If not, we can hopefully just sort of get these guys in the right order. So anyways, thanks for joining, and we'll learn some more stuff next time. So see you then.